Hi, welcome back to my channel. It is Saturday the 27th of January 2024. And first of all, let me start off by offering each and every one of you an apology. I've not been totally honest with you for the last year. Basically, my well-being and mental health has not been particularly great. It's been antagonized, I suppose is a proper word for it, with the working environment in the office. It's gone from being a really nice, happy place to work to a toxic, childish, and not pleasant place to work. And that's been plaguing on me for over a year now. I feel like I've been micromanaged for the last year. One of the team has taken it upon themselves to go into my tickets, check what I'm doing, pass comment, tell me how to do the job. I mean, I'm 55, and if I don't know how to do a job now, shoot me, please. It's been plaguing on me for months. And there's also some childish actions by another member of staff who makes silly noises, burps, belches, and thinks he's being funny. And it's just like, guys, this is not the kind of attitude you should have in an office. You should be professional, even though it's a small company and we're all good friends and things. Nah. So it's been getting to me for the last year, and it's been getting worse and worse and worse. In fact, probably October, November time, I actually started actively looking at potentials of retirement, other jobs and things like that. And we'll come back onto one of those things I've just mentioned in a minute. But it's been getting worse. Christmas was kind of nice just to get away for a few days. I know my colleague has put a formal complaint in about some other bits and pieces. I can't go into details because that's obviously third party, nothing to do with me. But all I was being told from that person is, in their view, nothing was being resolved. It was just being swept under the carpet and put to one side. By just before Christmas, I was getting so fed up with things going on, and this person keep looking at my tickets and adding stuff into the ticket, kind of showing me up as not being able to do the job kind of thing. I actually dropped an email to my manager, my line manager, which was not, it was an informal, formal email, basically saying that I'm dissatisfied being micromanaged by somebody that isn't my manager. I never, ever to this day had a reply, and I now know the reason why we didn't get a reply. So moving on to this year, 2 weeks ago on a Thursday, we had an email come through to the whole team saying that the company is not making any money, we're losing customers, where is this, that and the other, which is not quite straightly true. We're not losing that many customers. In fact, we're gaining a couple of extra, but you know, and there would be redundancies. And from experience, I know that this is not, we're thinking of redundancies, this is, there are going to be redundancies, and that we would get told, those at risk will be being told Friday. Sure enough, Friday, there is an email from my manager telling me that I was at risk of redundancy, and so was my colleague. Surprisingly, nobody else in the office, just the two of us. Now, it's kind of weird. Conspiracy theory. Is it because that person's made a official complaint and I've also complained about things? But it does explain absolutely 100% why my line manager didn't even bother replying to my email, not even acknowledging it. As we had to have a one-to-one meeting on the Monday with the manager to make our choices if we wanted to take voluntary redundancy or etc. etc. Now, as I said, I've been working quite a few years, as you can tell, not a child. But I've kind of learned over the time. I've probably been made redundant 9 times out of 10 jobs, so I'm doing quite well. When a company says we're thinking of making redundancies and we're looking for voluntary redundancies, they've already made their mind up who they want to get rid of and why, etc., 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 and just use the redundancy thing as an excuse. I was witness to this a couple of years ago in COVID, when we had redundancies, and one of the people they got rid of, they were not happy with their work and dedication to the job, etc. So it's a bit sort of obvious, and I thought, well, you know what, I've had enough working here and I might as well leave with some money in my pocket. So I asked my line manager what the voluntary redundancy terms were, and was it enhanced in any way? Because, if you're being voluntary redundancy, they should offer you some incentive to volunteer. No, it is bog standard statutory pay because he can't afford to do anything else. He can't afford it, which for me was 5 weeks of pay because I've been there for 5 years, and because I'm over the age of 43, for every week we get an extra half a week added to it. So for me it was what's that, 7 weeks. So excuse my maths if they're not bad. I'll put the proper value down underneath if I have made a mistake. So Monday morning we had the meeting with my manager. He couldn't even be asked to put the video on to see him, so it was a voice only recording, and it was all right. It wasn't hostile or anything like that. Wasn't happy when I said, when he asked if there was any ways of saving money, to which I said, no, you've already made your mind up. But it does explain why my line manager couldn't be asked to reply to my email, because obviously he knew this was going on, because the manager, the business owner, said, I've been thinking about this since early December, but I didn't want to do it over Christmas and ruin people's Christmases. So yeah, my line manager knew this was going on. It would explain why he couldn't even be asked to email me back saying I'll look into it or anything like that. No bullshit or anything. It was just ignore it, which seems to be, unfortunately, the stance of anything. If there's a problem raised or anything like that, it just seems to be swept under the carpet. Anyway, moving on. I had this meeting, and at the end of the meeting I said, yes, I'll take the voluntary redundancy, which I think took my manager back a little bit. Maybe he wasn't expecting it. I don't know. Don't care. So I then wrote to him officially and accepted the package, etc., etc. And my last day was yesterday. I can't even remember the day. Winding the clock back a little bit, I used to work for one of our contracts was a secure contract. So I dropped Monday evening, I dropped the secure laptop back to the office, because obviously my account has been locked out because I'm a risk of doing something dangerous. So my secure account had been closed and locked out, so I returned the laptop. Obviously no good to me having it, and it's a secure laptop, so just get rid of the thing. I picked up all my stuff from my desk as well, which fitted into a carrier bag. It's quite nice. Wasn't very much. And I carried on working from home then, because on my last day was yesterday. So I worked, and I've been looking for jobs. I've had not interviews, but I've had quite a few phone calls from agencies and things like that. Not going anywhere. But it's early days yet, and it's still the wrong time of the year because, as I said, there's this window between sort of December and April where people are getting rid of people. So it's still a bit quiet at the moment. On Thursday, the 25th, I assigned all of my tickets to the wannabe, and he then signed them straight back to me again. So I signed them straight back to him again, and I did notice he signed them back, so I pushed them back at the final time, and I returned my laptop there around about Thursday lunchtime. No point me having it. I also dropped the keys back for the office, so I've got nothing. The docking station, everything went back on Thursday. And Friday at around about 11:30, 12:15, I asked my line manager, if I could disappear because there was no point in me staying signed in because I couldn't do anything. I was actually signing in from a web interface on my own computer because our stuff's all online, so it's easy to log in. And I then asked on a final message to the team, just sort of said thank you for your time, just being polite on leaving, and wish them all the luck, and asked then if under GDPR I had the right to be forgotten, which means that they should, under GDPR, remove all of my records from all our clients and things like that. So, there's no trace of me ever working there, kind of thing, which is my right under, like I said, GDPR. So I have been looking for a job now. Ideally, I would love a job based at home. Now, home, I will try and take a very quick picture guided tour of it, really. The home network is business grade, and the office environment at home is set up like an office. Excuse me. And I have quite a fast computer and monitors and things like that. So it's all set up for home. So ideally, if I could find a home role, it would be brilliant, because obviously the MS and my mobility is not the greatest, but it's a bit don't know. I've had a couple of agencies call me to say, can you do this job, this company? And I know where the company is. I've seen them, and a couple of them, one of them I've actually been to with my previous job. So I used to service the computers. So unfortunately, it's not quite set up for brilliant disabled access. It has got disabled access, but not brilliant. So I've kind of having to turn that down. But for me, it's going to now be an uphill struggle, because technically I've only got 4 more years to go before I can draw on one of my pensions. And I've also got MS, and my mobility is crap. So, businesses are not legally allowed to turn you down on disability, but there is all the you can never be sure if, when they say you didn't quite hit the criteria, or another candidate was slightly stronger than you, if that is actually true, or it's them saying, oh my god, we don't want this person because it could cost us money trying to sort out things, etc., etc. Don't know. It's only just my thoughts and things. So what I thought of doing was kind of trying to grab a video per day from home, just tracking kind of what I'm up to, what searches I'm looking for, how I'm looking for them, and just give you progress of how it goes from being unemployed like I am now to hopefully getting a job again. Like I said, the job only needs to last me a maximum of 10 years. Absolute 10 years, and I'm on state pension. So it's only going to be a short-term job. And there's a lot of companies, I'm guessing, when I send my CV in to them, or resume as they call it in the States, they're going to look at it going, this is not going to last because he's that old. Again, I know they're not allowed to use age or anything like that, and you don't now state your age on your CV, but hey, if your CV is up to date and tells you all of your, or most of your employment records, it doesn't take a genius to work out your age. It really doesn't. The other thing I have found as I've been applying for jobs, it's not quite AI, this seems to be the buzzword of the year, but there are automated assistants, shall we call them, that some employees use. So your application goes into the computer, which scans through the CV and grabs keywords out. And if those keywords are in there, you move to the next stage. If they're not in there, you get dropped out with, sorry, but no thank you. I must keep doing this. It's quite funny. So one thing I need to do is have a little bit of a research of how or what these mechanisms are looking for, and modify my CV to make sure those mechanisms are in there. Unfortunately, the CV is 2 pages. Skills and summaries on the front page, and a little bit of work history on the back. Because unfortunately, I've got quite a bit of work history. I've been every job I've done but one, I've been made redundant from. I know in the college while I was working there for a long time ago now, the way they used to change contracts was they'll put you at risk or ring fence you and make you redundant, and then you have to sign your new contract and keep your job, kind of thing. So a little sneaky beaky way of doing it, but it happened, so I'm not counting that. But that was the only job I actually left and moved into another job, but from there on in, everything else has been made redundant. Yeah, get kind of used to it. I'm still now and then in touch with a colleague of mine just to make sure they're okay. A little worried about their mental health and things, and hoping they don't do anything silly. Their situation is a lot worse than mine. In mine, I've already paid for my house, so I don't have the worry of the mortgage or anything like that to worry about. But I know their situation, they do. So I'd like to keep in touch with them. They're a nice person. I'm deliberately not saying he, she, or anything like that. So no clues as to who they are, etc. That is one thing I am finding quite amusing on a lot of application forms now, and is probably a sign of the times, is you now have to give a pronoun for how you wish to be addressed. The he, him, her, she. That kind of is new to me, but it is obviously something that is needed, and it is quite surprising because there is not an option for you or the word oi, oi, or oi, because some of the times I've been known as oi or you, and there's not that option there. So but as I said, I'm hoping to try and make a recording per day, only a short one, couple of 5 minutes if that, just to give you an update of where we are with the work searches and things like that, and maybe a little bit of a catalogue of what it's like trying to find a job when you have a disability. I don't want to hide behind my disability, but equally I don't want it to be a surprise to an employer. I would rather that employer know up front that, oh, by the way, I've got multiple sclerosis, rather than go to an interview and then going, oh, we weren't expecting you to walk in with a frame, something like that. So, yeah. The only other thing of worth noting is I've got a rollator, I think they're called. Basically, it's a sort of frame with set wheels in the back and a casting wheels on the front. This has developed a bit of a rock, and I did then notice ball bearings all over the back of the car. So one of the bearings has collapsed. So I've got the company out that deal with them to come and have a look at it. And they take some photographs and said, we'll be in touch. Didn't hear anything. So last week I phoned them and they said, we can't repair it. And we have to go back to your service provider to talk to them about getting replacements, which they were going to do. Again, not heard anything about it. So being me, I took the wheel off, took the wheel out of the caster, dropped the caster off of the frame, and sure enough, the bearing in there is disintegrated. It's just worn out. So I tapped the bearing out and had a look at it, and there's a number stamped on it. Now, I don't know anything about bearings because I'm not that mechanically minded. So I spoke to a friend of mine, and it was quite amusing. I said, this has got this number on. He went, what's the number? So I told him. He said, oh yeah, that's blah 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 blah, dimension, blah 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 blah, thickness, blah 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 blah, seals, blah 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 blah, roller, blah 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 blah. And it just gave me the whole thing, because apparently bearings have got these codes written around them. They're, I don't know, they're specific sort of things. And he then also gave me a company that supply them. I'm going to give a shout out to a company called Bearing Boys, that was recommended to me. So I phoned them up, spoke to a young lady, gave her the code, and she said, oh yeah, that's one of these. And I said, well, the loading on it is vertical and slightly offset because the wheel has got a curve on it. And what has been recommended is a conical bearing. And she said, unfortunately, they don't make them that small. The only ones they do are these roller bearings. Okay. So I thought, well, as these have worn out in how many years I've had the frame, probably about 6 years now, and I'm just going to buy some spares. So I've bought some spare bearings. And she said, yeah, okay, no problem. They're in the post and they'll be with you probably Saturday or Monday. So no problem. Yesterday they turned up, which is like, hang on a second, I only ordered them on Thursday and they've already arrived. Good. So the bearings, the assembly are already taken off the frame. Managed to pop the two bearings out and push the two new ones in and put the wheel back together again. So it has cost me a total of £4. Sorry, £4.20 to repair the walker, from being told, no, it's too expensive to repair, we can't get any of the parts for it. Yes, the parts as an assembly are available, but unfortunately they are at the disability allowance of, I think they were £70 per pair. So they're not a cheap thing. And as I said, £4.20, I've put the right bearings in, it's all fixed, it's all working perfect. And it's currently sat in the back of the car with me now. So yeah, managed to fix that. So happy days. I do need to order some Bowden cables, which is for the brakes. Where one of them goes into the handle mechanism, it's cracking, so the outer sheath is damaged. I need to measure them. I'll do that probably when I get home tonight. Usual thing, get a piece of string, run the string around the length of the Bowden cable itself, measure the piece of string. I then get the right length, and then do the same again for the inner cable, right length of that as well. It looks fairly easy to do. The only thing that looked complicated, like, oh, I couldn't see how they came out, obviously. The actual handle grips are really, really securely fitted to the body, the metal work, and they need to come off so I can get the handles off, so I can actually take them apart and look at where the Bowden cable fits inside the handle grip. So I was thinking, I don't know how to do that. So speaking to the same person who told me about the bearings, a friend of mine, he said, oh yeah, what you need to do is put them into some boiling water and let them heat up for a while, give them 10 minutes or so in some boiling water in like a pan or something. And then drop a little tiny bit of veggie oil around the seal and then twist it. He said they'll come off. He said his brother has, and I can't remember what medical name for it was, but he's got a disability as well. And my friend has repaired his brother's wheelchair a few times because, like the walker, parts are not available in this country because it's all made in America, and all the bits over here are obviously metric and all the bits over there are imperial. Nothing fits. So he's having to repair things himself and has learned how to get these handles off and things like that. So at some stage I will have a go at when I get the Bowden cable ordered up and get the right things, I'll take the handles off the buggy and bring them in and actually fix them and put the brakes back together. So watch this space. Really, I should have shown a video of them taking apart the bearings. But as I said, the bearings were dirt cheap and are slightly of better quality than the ones that came out, i.e. they're branded by a well-known manufacturer. So watch this space. And I said that first time we go out of the thing, the blinking thing will collapse. So that's it. I just wanted to bring you up to speed with why I've been grumpy. A little tiny bit of a secretly hiding my mental health. As you can see, I actually feel $1 million at the moment. The worries and things have gone. Okay, yes, I have to worry about getting a job and things, but it's kind of forced my hand and pushed me, which is the bit that I was missing. Otherwise, I'd still be there panicking, getting more and more and more down and things like that. But I feel like a weight's been lifted off me. So thanks to my boss for making us redundant. It was really helpful. Thank you. Have I got any grievances against the company? Just a couple of people there that kind of made it toxic, but that's it. No names, no mentions, no nothing like that. So can't track the company, can't track the people down, etc., etc. Point fingers. But they know who they are. Unlikely they'll ever watch my video. So, just as a byline, I went to the radio club last night. We had to do a show and tell talk. There's only 3 of us took stuff in the show. I actually took my drone in and showed them the drone and managed to little fly it around, just hover it a little bit, and showed them a couple of the videos on the channel, which is I'll leave a link up. I don't know, there. Yeah, I'll put it about there, I think. So to the second channel. Hopefully now the weather is starting to get nicer. That's real bad English. Hopefully now the weather is improving. That's better. I'm hoping to get back out in the with the drone, but I'm conscious that I need to obviously find work at the same time as well. I have applied to the government for support and things, and that is an automated system which sends me an email saying we'll deal with it in the next 14 days. So I'm waiting for an email. Now my walker's fixed, I'm a little more confident of getting up to the job centre for an interview, which I will have to have. But I will speak to them saying, is there an option for doing it online to save me having to sort of struggle getting the walker out and send it all up and things like that. Going to see neurology on the first week of March. It's over a year, and at least I can give my neurologist some good news, which is the weight loss is still going in the right direction. So I'm still happy about that myself. Gently Bentley, slowly it's coming off, but it is staying off, which is brilliant. So about another 16 metric tons to go, but it's going. That's the main thing. Yeah, so I'm dead chuffed about that. Anyway, I've waffled enough. The phone will probably overheat or something like that and it explode. The phone's dying anyway, so I don't want to encourage it to go any quicker. And as I said, hopefully I will post daily videos about the work. It'll just keep me focused and make sure that I don't get into the rut of sitting there just staring at a wall going, I don't know what I'm going to do. Not having the mortgage is really helpful because that is taking a real weight off my shoulders. So that's it. I'll catch you next time. Bye bye for now.